Welcome to the Underground, the Steel City Underground, the black and gold standard for Pittsburgh Steelers coverage. Now, here are your hosts, Joe Kuzma and Pittsburgh Steelers cornerback, Trey Johnson.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Steel City Underground podcast presented by the 5th Annual Legends of Pittsburgh Cruise, setting sail on March 4th, 2019, with over 20 Pittsburgh legends and 1,000 fans sailing the Caribbean. My name is Joe Kuzma, and today, as always, usually, last week I was a little under the weather, so I wasn't here for Trey's Corner, but one man who is definitely dedicated and is here even with the Thanksgiving holiday and his busy travel schedule is one Pittsburgh Steelers cornerback, Trey Johnson. Trey, I missed you last week, man. How you doing?
I'm good, Joe, man. How you doing today, man?
You know what? You were telling me I just had my reading voice on a second ago, and I have a voice, finally. I probably even sound clearer than what everyone heard the day before with the WTF edition with Terry. I'm finally getting over the strep throat, man. I let Brian run this ship for too long. It was starting to sail off into uncharted waters. So we'll stick with the whole cruise analogy just for a second, because I was just talking to you, man, and I'm like, I've never been on a cruise personally, and you said you've been on a whole bunch of them, huh?
Yeah, I've been on 4 cruises in my life. They're all pretty fun. I can't imagine how this Legends cruise is going to go. That's probably going to be epic, because I know how not only Steeler fans are, but Steeler players are. You know, they definitely know how to have fun and how to create a great time. So it's probably going to be unlimited drinks or something like that. And then I think you said it's going to Bahamas. I actually went to the Bahamas, and Bahamas is beautiful, man. Beautiful water. You could crystal clear. You can see all the way down to the bottom. You know, all of those little magazine pictures you see in the magazines, man, you'll see it in real life if you end up getting on that cruise. So that's definitely something I encourage everybody to do.
Yeah, I got to honeymoon in Jamaica. Flew into Montego Bay over to Ocho Rios in the water, man. I mean, it's like nothing you've ever seen. It looks like it's out of a video game or something like that, or a movie. It's crazy, but there's a whole bunch of people on this thing. Just to talk about it real quick here, folks. JuJu Smith-Schuster, Rocky Bleier, a bunch of other Steelers legends. You know what, Trey? Eventually, hopefully, you're one of these legends too, since you love the cruises so much. But
man, I definitely hope so.
But if you're looking to reserve your spot today, less than 30 cabins remaining, folks. You want to head on over to book at legendsofpittsburghcruise.com or call 877-381-5553 and use the promo code SCU19 when booking. And hopefully I get to join some people like that. You mentioned Steelers Nation being like crazy. As you're aware, I was down in Jacksonville, just not too far from your neck of the woods this past weekend, man. It was like an invasion in Jacksonville. The warm weather was real nice. And so what's going on with you now? I'm going to be celebrating Turkey Day with friends and family. You got any special plans where you're going to be watching the game or anything like that?
Nothing too crazy. I'm actually my sister moved to California about a year ago, so this is my first time coming out to be able to go see her. So, you know, we're spending Thanksgiving with her. Tomorrow we're going to have some cooking and stuff getting done. My dad they went to go get the turkey just now, so, you know, just waiting for that to get back and kind of get into the kitchen and kind of get things going.
Oh man, last second on the turkey, man. I hope you get a good one.
Yeah, man, we're actually trying to get a ham, but we called one of the little ham places, and they were saying how not only are they sold out of hams, but there's a line to even get the hams when like they finally restock up. So it's the whole ham thing went out the window real quick. So we're actually going to get a turkey from, I don't even know where they went, but, you know, we're getting a turkey from somewhere.
They're going to find it running around in the wild, maybe.
Yeah, cut it off and fry it up.
That sounds amazing, though. It really does. Yeah, I don't know. My biggest thing, I love cornbread. My mom knows that, so cornbread will be on one of the main dishes on the menu, and I love stuffing and gravy and all the other good stuff. And I don't want to bore everyone because we do have a football game to talk about. But, yeah, go ahead, man. Go ahead.
I'm the same. I'm just saying I'm the same way. Like, I'm not even a really big turkey fan. Like, I'll probably have a few slices of turkey, but, you know, my go-to is, you know, we have potato salad, stuffing, yams, you know, all the side dishes for Thanksgiving. That's where I make my money at, you know. Usually I'll put the ham on there just, you know, to keep the protein going. But, all the different sides, the macaroni and cheese and everything like that. I just pile that on there and just kind of gorge myself.
Let me ask you about that, because, like in the thick of football season, are the holidays really tough on the athletes? Like, you got to stay like on your regimen a little bit, or you guys get like, you have like one little cheat meal there and just let it all hang out?
See, with me, I'm fortunately I'm on the opposite side of the weight scale. So, I'm always trying to kind of gain weight. I've never had to be like, oh, I can't eat this, I can't eat that. So, with the big D linemen, I'm sure they stress that sometimes, they probably got to eat like guacamole for their Thanksgiving or whatever. But,
An avocado.
with me, I can just pile on the calories. Thanksgiving is actually a perfect holiday for me because, I'm trying to eat as much as I can every single time I can.
Yeah, that's gonna slow you down, man. I mean, you make your money being the fast guy here. We don't want to weigh you down, but I thought that was an interesting thing to just bring up real quick because I used to be the same way. I used to have a very rapid metabolism, and then it kind of went the opposite way once I got into like the pack on the muscle and weight mode. Then it's like I got to be a little bit more careful with the diet. So hopefully this doesn't discourage everyone from eating what they want to for Thanksgiving. But there's two principal themes here. I mean, that are going with the football thing. We don't want anybody to be bogged down because they ate too much Thursday and then they're sluggish come Saturday and Sunday here, preparing for their travel to Denver. And we're talking about travel, and apparently Trey doesn't go anywhere where it's cold. But just speaking of that, what kind of transition is that as a player? Because I mean, you're natively from down south, originally South Carolina, was that right? And then,
I was born in South Carolina.
And then living in Tampa as you rehab, and now you're over in California, and it's still warm in California. I'm assuming you're in warm climate there. But moving up to the north, you played Villanova right outside of Philadelphia, and then even those early camps with the Steelers, it wasn't exactly the warmest of weather outside. Come like, what was it? Well, I don't know. I guess it was okay in May.
It wasn't too cold, but I've kind of grew to not appreciate the cold. I definitely still hate it, but just kind of learn different tricks and trades to just kind of get through it. Especially for players who are from down south, like me, the Floridians, it's definitely difficult because, when it's cold outside, you feel everything. You feel if your big toe's hurting, your big toe's going to be hurting for the whole game. It doesn't matter what you kind of do in order to get through it. But, me, I just kind of found different ways to just kind of beat it. Stay close to the heater. Anytime I'm on the sideline, you're going to see me right next to the heater. Just kind of different layers, wear 2-3 different long sleeves. You could put the latex gloves underneath your real gloves so that you can kind of trap the heat underneath in your hands, just different things like that to just kind of combat the cold. But, definitely going into Denver, I definitely think it'll play, some type of a part because, that's the Mile High Stadium. So you also have to include the altitude. When you get that high up, it's hard to breathe, especially, for players who are wearing visors or whatever it is, when you have that lack of oxygen, also affects your brain, in the way that you think. So sometimes, you can have kind of like a brain fart, I guess you can say, just based off the fact that, you're not getting enough oxygen to your brain because, you're panicking or you just don't have enough oxygen because of the fact that you're playing at a higher altitude than what you're used to. So I definitely think it may have an effect. I don't think it'll be like so drastic to, you see players just kind of passing out after like 3 plays or anything like that. But, I definitely do think it's going to have some type of effect.
No, these guys are definitely athletes, but I mean, if you're not in football shape or you're fatigued, it'll mess with your mental acuity, I believe is the word I'm looking for there. Yeah. I'm going above my pay grade now. But
that's the SAT word right there, man.
SAT, yeah. I'm working on that, man. Let's see if they'll accept me. But Sunday, we're a little ahead of the game here, I guess, with the Treys Corner segment here. 4:25 game, West Coast time, so there's some West Coast travel for the Steelers. They have been excellent on the road now. I think 15-1-1 in the last 17 games, and it's just wild. We've talked about it. Brian's talked about it. Everyone's talked about the schedule. Now they got to go to Denver. Denver. We just talked about all of these different things. You got a time change. Your body's got to acclimate to that. The temperature. I'm seeing right now a forecast. I mean, they got it pretty nice right now. It's in the 60s, but they're forecasting a high of 43 in Denver, so it's going to get chilly. It's going to be back to probably what everyone that lives in Pittsburgh is used to. But aside from that, then you also have the mile-high climate too. And the Steelers, they won 2 of the past 3, but they've lost like 3 straight when playing in Denver. So they've got to turn those tables around. I believe they could do that. This is the game. I hate using the word, but I wanted to say it was kind of maybe a trap game. They did come out victorious against the Jaguars last week. Are there some similarities that you feel may be the same between playing the Jacksonville Jaguars? Aside, we're going to throw climate and everything else out the window. Just looking, putting. I see a defense, and then I see an offense that's kind of struggling a little bit. They could run the football. You have a guy like Emmanuel Sanders. It's a solid wide receiver. But you got Case Keenum. He's not the sharpest quarterback, but he can kind of get the job done. Journeyman guy.
Yeah, he manages the game.
Yeah, but I see a strong defense too. You think that the Denver Broncos will give the Steelers offense as many fits as the Jaguars did coming up this Sunday?
Yeah, I definitely do see similarities. Like their defense is their strong point, with that D line down there, led by Von Miller, of course. So, I definitely do see that similarity, but I don't think their defense is as good as the Jacksonville defense, mainly because of their back end. The Jacksonville secondary is something that's immaculate. They got Jalen Ramsey, AJ Bouye, all those different people back there. And, not that the Broncos secondary is bad, it's just not as good, and I feel like, when that pressure gets on, the Jaguars were able to create some turnovers, catch some interceptions and different things like that. And that was caused because of the pressure. But, if like with the Denver Broncos, I feel like it'll more so be like, okay, they get pressure, but now they didn't get an interception. So now Big Ben has, another down, another opportunity to get that first down, So I feel like that could play, be the difference between it, instead of turning the ball over, we live to fight another down and then we get the first down on the next play. So I feel like, that's going to be the difference in it. And, their offense really isn't as great. I definitely think Case Keenum is a better quarterback than Blake Bortles. So, but, so that's one thing that we're going to have to battle against. But, and I don't see their backfield being as lethal as the Jaguars was either, with Leonard Fournette and Carlos Hyde and everything. They still got Phillip Lindsay, that rookie who kind of exploded and, they're definitely balling, but I don't think they're, too great. I think more so what we have to worry about is just kind of making sure everybody's on their P's and Q's, making sure everybody knows their role, knows the game plan, and, just stick to the game plan and everything will go smooth.
Yeah, the Broncos, well, if we're going to pick it to something first, I think I'm going to jump on what you said about the secondary maybe not being as strong. It used to be the no-fly zone. It's not quite the same as it used to be. Aqib Talib no longer there. Bradley Roby in his place. You have the safeties, Darian Stewart and Justin Simmons. And then Chris Harris is still there. That was someone who kind of it was another one of those names that kind of leaked out there along with Patrick Peterson around the trade deadline, trying to link with the Steelers. Some guys they remember, maybe former Bengal Domata Peko as the nose tackle, Derek Wolfe up front. Those are some strong guys. You got a first-round pick in Bradley Chubb, who I'm like, geez, they let him slide all the way to Denver. You pair him with somebody like Von Miller, and you get to rotate Shane Ray in here or there. Shaq Barrett. I mean, these guys, they're going to be fresh and they're going to be bringing it. So I think the Steelers may be in for some hurry up, but if they get in control of this game, I think the best way maybe to attack this Broncos defense, number one, they're not good against the run. I mean, they have struggled against the pass. They're 18th overall, but they're 27th against the run. They've given up some real big games to different teams on the ground. I feel that this week could be a bounce-back game. You know what? I hate that. People were using the word bounce back. I mean, last week for James Conner, I think part of that, not only the Jaguars defense has to be respected. Maybe I didn't give them even enough respect as I thought they deserved, because I thought the Steelers would control more time of possession. But you know what? The game script, it changed everything. It's not like you could just run the ball when you're down, 9-0 and then 16-0. So statistics-wise, yeah, bounce back for James Conner. But, I mean, that was kind of part of the reason that his numbers is that that the Steelers had to make some in-game adjustments in order to try and put some points up fast enough and win that game. So James Conner, I feel, will have a big game this week.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think, we need a heavy dose of James Conner, especially, with last week, you kind of hit it right on the head. When you're down, you can't just run the ball and try and come back because, that's just taking time off the clock and, giving yourself less time to kind of come back. So that kind of sucks for James. But, I definitely think, this week that just made him more hungry, so he's going to go out there and ball out against the Broncos. And I feel like, with their rush defense, of course, being as bad as it is, of course, that's going to open up play action, so I feel like everything's going to run smoothly. Once James, kind of starts breaking off some nice runs, we're going to go to play action, start hitting JuJu, AB, all the tight ends and everything like that down the field, and then, just kind of start racking up points.
Yeah, you mentioned the tight ends playing the most snaps he's played all season. Now Vance McDonald. Actually, Jesse James playing the least that he's played percentage-wise of plays. So it was mostly the Vance McDonald show last Sunday. Some of that, again, in game script when you get into multiple wide receiver sets. But I'm really picking Vance McDonald here, too, because it's another weakness. And I think Jesse James could come out there and exploit it a little more, too, if they want to roll with some double tight end sets.
It's funny because I was just talking to my brother about the tight end position and how difficult it is. I think it's one of the most difficult positions to guard, because you have this individual who's just so large, but they run like their receiver and, they block like their alignment, so it's just kind of, even if you have good coverage on him, sometimes the quarterback can just kind of throw it in there and he's going to catch it just because he's bigger than you. You can't get your arm around him to get to the ball because, he's just boxing you out or whatever it is. And that's something that Vance McDonald and Jesse James actually do extremely well. And that was, when I first showed up for camp and I met Jesse James, I was just kind of astonished at how big he really is. Like, he is just a large individual, man. I don't even know how to explain it. Like, I don't think he could fit through doorways, but it's just funny because, with tight ends like that, you got to realize that they're also able to move, it's not like they're slow or, unathletic. So it definitely makes them difficult to guard. So of course, as an offensive coordinator or as a quarterback, you definitely take that into account. That's why they're the safety valve. The last check down is either going to be the tight end or the running back. Usually they're going to go to the tight end because he's more sure-handed and he's just bigger than everybody else on the defense.
Yeah, and Vance has 2 touchdowns, one in each of the last 2 games, so I expect to see more of that, especially if, keep an eye on this, Steelers fans, Brandon Marshall, inside linebacker. Typically the starter was out last week. He's been banged up, I believe, with a knee, so you're going to want to keep an eye on that. One guy that we really loved during the draft process is actually more than likely going to be his fill-in again this week. That's Josie Jewell out of Iowa, the 4th-round draft pick. And the Steelers can definitely take advantage of that situation with having maybe some inexperienced guys roaming the middle of the field and then having somebody like Vance who likes to break tackles, or Jesse James, as you said, listed at 6'7", by the way. So I'm kind of I'm picturing
that's probably shorter than what he really is.
Yeah, I'm picturing you two standing next to each other. You ever see that movie, or at least the movie posters, Twins with Danny DeVito and Arnold Schwarzenegger?
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of what I have pictured in my mind. So I mean, I don't think we have too many concerns with the Steelers' offense, just so long as it's a well-oiled machine. They were a little off. What do you want to say? Off the page, it wasn't well-oiled for at least 3 quarters last week, and they get those things ironed out, and you see what can happen, and anything can happen. I flipped this around now on the other side of the ball, and I'm looking at some of the guys that are going to be given headaches coming up this Sunday. The Broncos' offensive line in particular. Case Keenum's a guy who's getting sacked quite a bit. They have a former first-round pick in Garrett Bowles, his second year now at left tackle. What do you? I see the Steelers' defense being able to get to Case Keenum. This is going to be another one of those things. Like I think Brian predicted 6 or more sacks last week, And now I got to look up. I think he may have been right. I think it was 6. It might have been 5, but close enough, Brian. And I'm in the same ballpark again. I don't see why these guys are going to slow down. They're on a record pace to break the franchise record, which they set the mark last year. They're on pace to do it again this year. T.J. Watt has 10 sacks. So does Von Miller, by the way, on the opposite side of the ball. So you're going to have to keep an eye on him. That's going to be a handful. I believe that's going to be Villanueva's assignment on Sunday. But just looking at it that way, I could see the Steelers bringing the heat on this Denver Broncos offensive line.
Yeah, I agree. Especially, with having Case Keenum at the cornerback. He's somebody who, like a lot of quarterbacks, they're in the NFL, so if you give them time to just kind of sit back and read a coverage, they're going to be able to pick it apart, just because they've been seeing it for, 10, 11 years or however long they've been playing football. So, if you're bringing pressure, it speeds up that thought process. And, when you speed that up, a lot of quarterbacks tend to make mistakes and make irrational decisions. So that's definitely what the Steelers kind of pride themselves. Well, we kind of pride ourselves on, and we're slowly creeping up the ranks to becoming. I think we're like number 7 in total defense, or at least passing defense, or something like that. So, our defense is starting to kind of come together and starting to gel together. So, I'm happy to see that, and I really don't see the Broncos coming out, with anything or anything that we can't stop. I definitely think they're going to come out and try to run the ball on us. That's the basic game plan for really every single team. If you can establish the run, then the pass will open itself up. But I really don't see them coming out running the ball on us. Our D line has been really stout, and I really don't see their running backs breaking any long runs. And if that doesn't happen, then we get a few points on the board, and then they're forced to throw the ball. And I really don't see them kind of throwing the ball. So I see some interceptions coming in because, Case Keenum is not going to have enough time to really read the field, and he's just going to end up throwing it up there. Somebody's going to come down with a pick and hopefully make a play out of it.
Yeah, he's been throwing it away. He has 11 touchdown passes, but 10 picks this year. Sacked 25 times, by the way, as well. And it's kind of the issue there is, they traded away Demaryius Thomas. They have a rookie in Cortland Sutton who's replaced him. Very similar style type
Body
player.
type.
Yeah, very similar. Yeah. And but again, I don't think this is one of those situations where you have corners roaming around. They know Emmanuel Sanders very well. He'll still be a threat. There's not very many threats at the tight end position there either. So they're going to have to set up with the run. And if Case Keenum's caught holding the ball for too long, which I've seen in the games that I've watched with the Denver Broncos this year, I think he's going to go down. I had the numbers for you, by the way. I was looking at this. The Steelers creeping on up here. You're absolutely right, sir. Pass defense 7th, rush defense 9th. So certainly helps.
Making our way up there.
Yes, it certainly helps that the Jaguars didn't throw the ball at all to help to had those numbers a little bit, but I'll take it. It makes. I'm telling you, just getting to the quarterback is just I don't know, man. I'm starting to get good feelings about everything, and I'm just looking at the Denver offense. It's one of those games where, okay, if they struggle, it's because of all these other mitigating factors that we opened up the show with. They're just going to maybe have to acclimate themselves, and what ended up happening is in a much warmer, sunny, humid climate last Sunday, it took them a little bit of time to adjust, but the defense was able to hold the Jaguars to 3 field goals early on, plus get some 3-and-outs, which is very promising. I believe everyone there is on the upswing. Anyone that really stands out to you, if I could ask the question? There was, I guess there's one adjustment that was primarily made. It was for 10 plays or so, Jordan Dangerfield was playing as a corner, and I believe that was set up just to stop Leonard Fournette, specifically.
Yeah, that's. I think Mike Tomlin actually touched on that in the post game. All he did was just move his position. He still had the same responsibilities, and everything like that. But Danger is a special teams player. He comes down and he makes a lot of tackle, and he actually, he's an extremely hard worker. So I was happy to kind of see him out there on the field, making some plays. So that was a really smart move that we did, and honestly something that I probably wouldn't have thought of, in in the moment. But that's why I'm not a head coach. I'm just a player. So
yeah. I mean, I hear you on that. There's a lot of people who pretend to be head coaches on Twitter, and you just got to ignore them. So,
man, I just like playing football.
Yeah, I was trying to find the sack number, and I'm still, because I'm on like a mobile, like I'm on my phone doing this, of course, instead of on my computer. Here we go, 6. Brian hit 6. I was wrong. It was not 5.
Yeah, right on the head.
6 sacks. So I would like 5. I think Keenum's capable of coughing up the ball one way or the other at least twice. I think the Steelers can protect the ball pretty well in this game. I thought they would last week too, but you're not looking at, I mean, aside from Chris Harris, there's not 2 Chris Harrises roaming around there. It's no longer the no-fly zone. The biggest thing is going to be this platoon of running backs, I think, against the defense. If you could slow down Phillip Lindsay, Royce Rolls Freeman, and then, of course, Devontae Booker. They got three different types of guys there who have their own different skill sets, change of pace. I like a Steelers victory. I was trying to figure out, I think it was 46 or 46.5 is the over-under in the Steelers 3-point favorites. And this one, I still don't feel it's that close. I think this is going to be a game I wanted last week, so I'm just going to carry over everything I was talking about from last week. I'm going to roll it into the ball and put it in this week. Of course, that's because the turkey's going to be in the oven here shortly, and it's like, I want to eat, so I'm on limited time. I'm going to spend some time with friends and family.
Yeah, definitely. I'm excited for it too, and I don't think it's going to be that close of a game either. I think we win by more than 3. I don't know. I guess if I would give a score, I'd probably say like 32, like 14, something like that. I really don't see it being too close. The only major problems I see on from the Denver's offense is really, kind of how you mentioned their running backs, of course, and of course Emmanuel Sanders. But with him being in the slot majority of the time, it kind of makes him not as much of a threat because when somebody's in the slot, it's a lot easier to double team him or to have help over top. So, it kind of negates him from being as versatile or as deadly as he could be.
Yeah, that's an excellent point, too, and thanks for pointing that out. And I drew a blank on what I was just about to follow that up with, to be completely honest. I had like one more point, totally lost it. The score. Yeah, I see Steelers offense more than 30. I didn't catch that one last week. I missed the mark there, of course, but the defense. I said Jacksonville would score no more than 18, and right on the money right there. So Brian gets one, I get one. That's where I'm going to hold here, too. I don't see the Broncos really putting up a whole lot of points. I just don't think they're built that way this season, and that's going to be something here because the Steelers might be able to close out. They've had this road win streak going for a while. They'll be able to come back home in between yet another road trip when they go out to Oakland. But I don't think they're looking past the Denver Broncos. I was almost going to say like the trap game type of thing, but I don't think they didn't win easy last week. So you can usually the trap game thing is the trap game would have been last week, and I still didn't think it was a trap game because it was more of a revenge rematch type thing from having lost, and then there was the smack talk and everything like that. So I don't think they lost their focus, but they had a big win against the Panthers, a little bit of the layoff with the extra few days from Thursday Night Football. You don't have any of that this week. I think they're going to come and they're prepared to do business. Yeah,
me too, man. I agree with that. I really don't see too much of a crazy game. I don't think they're overlooking them at all either because, the Raiders it's not like the Raiders are doing something extravagant, so it's not like, we got a super game plan for them, and last week was definitely a wake-up call with the Jaguars. We were rolling pretty good, knocking teams out, blowing them out or whatever, but, we kind of got humbled, got punched them off a little bit. So, it's definitely, we're back to the drawing board and, we're locked in again.
Yep, but again, don't take the Broncos too lightly, even as a 4-6 team. I mean, they beat the Chargers in the closing seconds with a field goal last week, so I expect a competitive game. It's in their house. It's a hard place for teams to come in and win still because of all that we've mentioned. So once again, ladies and gentlemen, Pittsburgh Steelers cornerback Trey Johnson. Trey, thanks for joining us again today, and enjoy your turkey, man.
Yeah, man, no problem. Thank you for having me. And you enjoy your time with your family and Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody, too.
Yeah, and the same to all of our listeners. And once again, I'm not blowing smoke here. I went on kind of a little bit of a rant with drinking, driving, and just being safe for this holiday, the extended holiday weekend. So, folks, as we always close the show, as I always like to say, Brian says it's chaos out there, and it's true. So protect yourself, be safe, be good, and we'll catch you later.
We would like to thank you for listening and remind our listeners to follow us on social media and our website, www.steelcityunderground.com.